G.R.O.W workshop series. G.R.O.W, as you know, is an acronym for Get Ready for Opportunities at Work. My name is Linda Tran. I'm an adjunct instructor in the Business Administration Department. Joining me tonight are my colleagues and co-hosts, Professor Liz Kabilis, there she is, and Professor Miriam Worsham. Before we get started, I want to thank both Professor Worsham and Professor Kabilis for their dedication and their talents in planning this workshop series to help students grow by getting ready for opportunities at work. We are absolutely delighted to have our special guest, Ms. Dominique Moss, present this afternoon. Before I hand the microphone over to Ms. Moss, let me share a little bit of background of her background. Ms. Moss joined the DVC community as a program coordinator with the Workforce Development Department. Her daily work supports students and faculty in DVC career education programs to ensure their teaching and learning time prepares our students for their future careers. Ms. Moss started her career in the K-12 realm. Her background includes working with nonprofit organizations, serving with program admissions, and leadership roles in the Bay Area. All of her work is based on the values of equity and supporting students in gaining access to the tools that students need to reach their personal definition of success. At DVC, Ms. Moss meets with students one-on-one to support their job and internship searches, resumes, cover letters, and more to ensure that students are well prepared for the workforce. So everyone, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Ms. Dominique Moss. And now I'll hand over the microphone to you, Ms. Moss. Please take it away.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Hello to everyone welcoming me in the chat. I am so excited to be here. Thank you. I'm going to be moving through a presentation on interviewing best practices. And I just want to say, again, thank you for everyone who's here, and you are taking the right step by being here today to gain access to some additional skills that will help prepare you for the world that is interviewing. As mentioned, I am with the Workforce Development Department at DVC. And my work, as the bio described, is essentially helping students get ready for the workforce. So at the end of the presentation, you will see the link that will allow you to meet with me directly one-on-one, either for a class assignment or even just for your personal benefit to go over your resume, cover letter, whatever you all may need. But tonight I'm going to focus directly on interviewing best practices. And to keep it a little engaging, I have some videos for you all. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started. So what we're going to be working on tonight, we're going to start with getting ready for an interview, the questions that you need to prepare for in terms of an interview, and one method that's going to be very beneficial to answering a specific type of question in an interview, and that's called the STAR method. I also have notes on salary negotiation, and it's a different color from everything else because I don't know if we'll have time to get to it. But if we don't worry, I'll be able to share out the slides so that you can review it. And then if you have further questions, again, in any one-on-one session with me, you can ask those types of questions. But for the purpose of this evening, we are meeting tonight just to reduce any stress or anxiety that you might have around the subject of interviewing, to be able to increase your confidence when it comes to stepping into the interview atmosphere and just increasing your chances of having a successful interview overall. So for interview basics, the first thing that you need to know is that you have to be very well versed in your research of the company. So you want to have a really strong idea of who you're applying to. This means that you'll know what their mission is, you'll know what their vision is, you know the types of projects that they're currently working on. You want to take a look at their website. This is where you'll be able to see who's on their team, what type of roles they're even offering that they have available. And also when it comes to research, you want to make sure that you are very attentive to the job description. You don't want to step into an interview and say, what is this job again? Which one? You want to make sure that you are very confident and aware of what you are actually interviewing for, especially if you might find yourself in a place in your career where you're interviewing for multiple roles at multiple companies. You don't want to, number one, get things mixed up, but number two, you want to make sure that you are aligning your skills and presenting yourself in a way that aligns with what they're looking for that specific job description. And lastly, you want to make sure that you review the company on a website called Glassdoor, just because there you'll be able to find different salaries that might be listed so you can get an idea of what you might be paid for a specific role if it's not already listed on the job description. And sometimes Glassdoor and Indeed, those types of sites can be like a Yelp review. Former employees might leave a review on what their experience was like. And you'd want to take that with a grain of salt. You don't want to assume that their experience would be yours, but it's just something to be aware of. So interview basics, number one is do your research. Second of all, you want to make sure that you dress for success. So I'm not going to read through all of these. You can read them, but your hair, your nails, your clothes, everything just needs to be neat. And another point that I like to emphasize here is that your attire for the interview is at least one step above what the position is sought for. So even if you are interviewing for like warehouse and you're allowed to wear sweats or joggers, still dress up for the interview. The day-to-day job clothes that you might be wearing, your dress code might be different. It might be a little bit more relaxed. That's okay. But when you are going to the interview, you still want to dress as a professional. So keep that in mind. The night before your interview, make sure that you are getting enough sleep. The day of, make sure that you have something on your stomach. Make sure that you arrive 10 to 15 minutes early and that you put it in your GPS the day before so that you can anticipate if there's going to be traffic or anything of that nature. So the worst thing you can do is be late. Don't be late. So put in your GPS and get a really good idea of how long it's going to take to get there. Make sure that you check in with the receptionist, the person who is at the front desk who will check you in and let the interviewer know that you are present and ready to go. And make sure that you bring extra copies of any of your documents. So your business cards, portfolios, cover letters, resumes. Make sure that you bring additional copies with you to the interview. This is a video that I have found that is essentially just interview best practices. So I'm going to go ahead and play this for you all. It's about 4 minutes.
Your interview is the first impression you are giving your potential employer, and that impression starts the moment you walk through the door. First and foremost, dress appropriately. Your employer doesn't need to know that you are on the cutting edge of fashion. You want to show the employer that you know what a professional looks like, and that you are one. Guys, wear a suit, or at least a shirt and tie. Keep it conservative, no loud colors. Make sure it's clean and ironed. You don't want to give a bad first impression. Ladies, wear a pantsuit or skirt suit. Keep it simple. Nothing bright, short, or sheer. Make sure your clothes are clean, ironed, and pressed. Keep your hair simple and neat. A simple low ponytail pulled tight, for example, is perfect. Even if you know the company has a relaxed dress code, the employer still wants to see that you are aware of what a professional looks like and that you are capable of dressing like one. You can never be too overdressed to your first interview. Clean up your online presence. You would be surprised at how many employers now look at your online profiles when making their consideration. This includes your Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and any other social media profiles you might have. Make sure that you do not have any compromising, embarrassing, inappropriate, or unprofessional pictures, videos, or posts visible. Time your trip. Do not be late to your interview. Do not even be exactly on time. Aim to arrive at least 10, but no more than 15 minutes early. So, Make sure you map out your route beforehand and factor in anything that might happen. If your interview is at 9 a.m., consider the fact that there will be traffic. If you're taking public transportation, factor in the possibility of a late train or bus. Your first impression begins the moment you arrive. It is said that most hiring managers form an opinion within the first 10 minutes of meeting you. So it is important to make a good first impression. Treat everyone with respect. Just because they are not the hiring manager doesn't mean that they do not have any influence in you getting hired. Greet everyone you meet with a smile. The hiring manager might ask the receptionist about your demeanor. If they find out that you were unfriendly with everyone else, but were friendly with them, you will look insincere. Greet everyone with a firm handshake and a smile. Sit patiently if you have to wait, and use positive body language. Sit squarely and confidently in your chair. Do not slouch or look too comfortable, and stay off your mobile phone. Make sure you practice your answers for the questions that you have prepared for. You do not want to come off as though you are reciting a speech. Practice until your answers start to feel and flow naturally. Know the job description. Most people take this one for granted. It is very important you are aware of every responsibility and qualification of the job. If any of them come up, you do not want to be caught off guard. Research the company. Knowing about the company, their values, history, services, and outreach is to your advantage. Being able to incorporate this information into your answers or using any of the information when asking questions give you a very positive, engaged, and sincere impression. You want to give the appearance that you don't just want a job, you want a career with their company.
Awesome. So that was just essentially a recap. I love that video because he just repeats everything I say, but just some nice animations. But so that's the best practices when it comes to an interview. Now we're going to transition into questions for the interview. Keep in mind when I say questions, I both mean the questions that they are going to be asking you and the questions that you have prepared for them as well. So the three basic types of questions that are commonly found inside of the interview world are behavioral-based, competency-based, and situational. So behavioral-based questions are the ones where they are trying to gauge how you would perform doing a certain task associated with the job. Competency-based questions are them trying to understand your skills and to understand if you are actually qualified to do the work. Are you competent in this area? Are you experienced in this area? And then lastly, you have situational questions. And those are the hypothetical questions where they would say, tell me about a time where you had to mitigate conflict with another coworker. That's a situational. So they're trying to understand how you would approach a specific hypothetical situation. When it comes to preparing for the questions, again, you have to base the questions that you're practicing with off of the job description. So knowing that you are applying to be a social media intern for a company, what types of questions would you, if you were the person doing the hiring, what type of questions would you ask someone about being a social media intern? So once you have a good understanding of what your role is and what your responsibilities will be, that kind of helps you predict some of the questions that they might be asking you. Again, places like Glassdoor or Indeed, they might even have some sample questions online for you. So again, make sure that you know exactly what you're looking for when it comes to the job description. You want to prepare your answers. Again, as the video said, you don't want it to feel too rehearsed. You want it to flow naturally. A really good sign that an interview is going well is when it starts to feel more like a conversation than an interrogation. So look for different ways where you can tie in your skills and make it flow naturally. And then lastly, we have the STAR method, which is a very specific approach to asking a situation or answering a situational question that they ask you. So STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. And I have another quick video for you.
In this week's video, we're going to go over how the STAR interview method can help you prepare for your job interviews. That's coming up. Hey guys, I'm Kim with G.R.O.W, your #1 source for hourly jobs, and welcome to our weekly advice show. In most job interviews, employers will ask a variety of questions, including a situational type interview question. So this is something like, can you tell me about a time when blank? Interviewers use these type of questions to predict your on-the-job performance. They want to see how you would handle this situation if it happened in the workplace. An easy, helpful way to tackle these types of questions is to use the STAR method. We're going to break it down for you. First, situation. Give the interviewer an idea of the problem you are trying to solve or the goal you are looking to achieve. This should really answer the who, what, where, when basics.
Tell me about a time when you had to deliver excellent customer service following a complaint.
One time, I had a customer call and complain that they waited over 2 weeks for a reply regarding their order. I needed to address the customer's complaint and figure out what went wrong with their order.
Second, task. Explain exactly what was required of you. List your responsibilities and game plan to resolve the situation.
I first apologized to the customer. Then I got their order details and then passed them along to my manager, who then contacted the customer within the hour.
Next, action. Describe what steps you took to reach a solution. This is a great time to list any obstacles you had to overcome in the process. Feel free to elaborate on your thought process so the interviewer gets a good idea on how you think.
I investigated why no one had followed up about their order. It turned out it was a combination of a wrong cell phone number and a wrong email address. I let the customer know, and we offered her a discount on her next order.
Last, results. This is probably the most important part of the STAR method. It's kind of like the ending to a story. Explain the outcome of the situation and any lessons you learned that could help you the next time around.
In the end, the customer was happy with how we resolved the issue, and not only continued ordering from us, but also posted a positive review online.
Using this format, you're sure to deliver well thought out answers that will really impress the interviewer. Thanks for joining us today. If you like this video, please let us know.
I just wanted to show you the video. You don't have to subscribe, don't worry. But so STAR method is something I really like to emphasize, especially in the preparation for an interview. I do this all the time with students when it comes to mock interviews as well, because it gives them an opportunity to reflect on what their past experiences are in a specific job and allows them to share strategically how that experience has helped them in preparing for the role that they are applying for. Next up is tell me about yourself. This is probably one of the first questions that you would be asked in an interview. So hi, welcome in. I am so excited that you're here today. I looked over your resume and I'm curious if you could just share more about yourself, or they might even just say it verbatim. Tell me about yourself. And this is your opportunity to make you as a candidate shine for this job position that you have applied for. I'm going to let the video do the talking and then we'll come back, but make sure if you haven't already been doing so, now's a great time to go grab a pen, paper, tablet, phone, wherever, to take some notes, because in just a few minutes, you are all going to be responding to this tell me about yourself question. So without further ado.
It is a safe bet this will be one of the first questions you will face, and the way you answer it will set the tone for the entire interview. One thing that stays true for this answer every time you are asked, keep it professional. Employers are not asking you this question because they want to know what your favorite color is. They want to know why you are the best candidate for the job. Employers want to hire the best person for the job, and your job is to convince them this is you. As it is most likely the first question you will face in your interview, it is one of the first impressions you will be giving the employer. You want to give the most professional image of yourself as possible. In order to accomplish this, do not volunteer personal information.
Please tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm 23 years old. I was born and raised in this city. I have 2 dogs, and I love basketball.
This candidate has already set himself back. You don't want to give any information about your personal life, but rather your professional life and how it relates to the position you are interviewing for. To do this successfully, you need to prepare and structure your answer highlighting your relevant education, experience, and professional qualities. From the job description, you know what the qualifications for the job are and what skills the employer is looking for. So you want to highlight all of the previous work experience, education, training, and all other professional skills that are relevant to the position. No matter what your work history is, you have transferable skills. If this is your first job in your field, then highlight the skills and training you received from your education as they pertain to the job, and talk about any transferable skills you might have gained from any of your work experience. Highlight your accomplishments as well. If you've received any academic awards or any promotions or commendations from your job, feel free to mention it. Not every position you interview for is going to be exactly the same, even if the job title is. Each company has different needs, so study the job description and figure out exactly what it is they're looking for. Once you figure out what the employer is looking for in a candidate, your job is to be that person. So emphasize the skills and qualifications you have that relate to the job specifically. Try to keep your answers in chronological order. You do not have to recap your professional history year by year, but detailing the experiences and skills that you have gained as you attain them in an organized fashion will leave a good impression on the employer. Your resume can help you with this, as it is in chronological order, and can help you set a timeline. Now that you have the structure, here is a good example.
Please tell me about yourself.
Let's see. I believe I have a very solid background in medical assisting. I earned my degree in medical assisting where I learned valuable skills such as taking vitals, administering injections, explaining treatment procedures to patients, preparing patients for examination, and assisting the physician with examinations. While earning my degree, I worked in customer service at ABC Pharmacy for 3 years as well, where I gained valuable communication skills and learned how to address customers' needs, which enables me to relate and effectively communicate with patients and their needs. I also completed an internship at a health clinic while in school, where I picked up more valuable skills, including updating patient files and medical records, handling correspondence, scheduling appointments, arranging for hospital admission, and helped make sure the office ran smoothly. These are all valuable skills which I will hopefully be able to apply to this position and bring to your office.
Remember, when answering the question, tell me about yourself. Keep it professional and do not give any personal information. Highlight your skills from your relevant education and training that will help you in the position. Tell them your work history and transferable skills as it relates to the job you are interviewing for, and do so in an organized, chronological fashion.
Awesome. So at this point, hopefully you have a good understanding of what it takes to create a great response to tell me about yourself. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to write down or draft, or even if you're more of a mental person, just take notes in your mind to create a response to tell me about yourself. In response to the video, I have 2 things to say. Number one, I think her answer ran a little long personally. And number 2, they said a note about not including anything personal, and I think it's more of a balance. When I tend to share my tell me about yourself, I mentioned that I went to school on the East Coast because that's where I'm originally from, and that the reason I'm in California to begin with is because I joined a teaching program. So it ties into why I'm in the area that I'm in, but it's still a little sprinkle of personal. It also, when you incorporate just a tiny bit of personal, it allows the interviewer to connect with you and maybe find points of commonality. So it doesn't have to be as drastic as don't say anything personal, but don't talk about what you did last Saturday. That's not what they're asking for, but it's more of a balance. So those are my 2 notes that I want to essentially edit from the video. But at this point, you have 2 minutes to create your response, 30 to 45 seconds of tell me about yourself. And for those who don't like the anticipation, I am going to be putting you all into breakout rooms for you to share out what your response is. You don't have to necessarily share a whole group, but be prepared to chat with a few other folks who are inside of this Zoom space with us, just to give you a little sneak peek of what's happening next. I'm done talking. You have 2 minutes to create your tell me about yourself response. Forty seconds left. Okey-doke. Are people asking for more time in the chat? Okay. Looks like we're good. All right, so now we are going to transition to breakout rooms. I tried my very best to create an organized process for breakout rooms. So if your last name begins with A through D, go to room 1. M through P, go to room 4. I'll just give you a little bit of time for you to look to see which room you're supposed to be in. And another note about the breakout rooms themselves, once I open them up, you'll see an invitation to join whichever breakout room you are going to go to. If there's like 30 people inside of one room, just go to another one. Don't necessarily base it off of last names, but let's just start here. And also I'm going to ask that our faculty pop into a few of the rooms just to help facilitate some of the conversations. I'll give you about 30 more seconds to figure out which room you're supposed to be in, and then I have a few more directions. Okay. So inside of your breakout room, what I would like for you all to do is to share your introduction or your response to tell me about yourself. Everyone will have the opportunity to share. And then I would like for you all to give feedback to one another. Sometimes in the moment, and we're keeping it a little short with the 30 to 45 seconds, just because I want people to be able to share. But I want you all to think about the video, think about what you would want to hear as a hiring manager. Let's say, again, we're going for a social media intern. And what type of things do we want to hear inside of our introduction or inside of the tell me about yourself? If someone's missing something, like they didn't mention their education, let them know. If they didn't share anything about their past work experience or what their goals are, let them know. And then mentally, within your mind, within your heart, decide if you want to share when we come back as a full group. I'm not going to call on anyone to do so, but know that I invite you to do so. And it would be an awesome opportunity to hear feedback live. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Inside of your things to include for your tell me about yourself, again, as you're listening to each other, keep in mind education, experience, your professional, qualities, and your skills. Those are the types of things that we are looking for in your response to tell me about yourself. So I have just opened up all of the breakout rooms. So at this point, you'll have 6 minutes inside of your breakout rooms. Go ahead and join them. I'll give you all a 2-minute warning and make sure that you take time to share your tell me about yourselves. I see the participants going down, so people are joining the breakout rooms. Good, good. And I'll actually be in this main session, so if anyone has questions, feel free to ask them here as well. I see someone raise their hand.
Yes, hi, it's me. My name is Harun. I have a question.
Yes, how can I help?
Yes, so basically our professor sent this link to us to join the meeting for extra credit. And honestly, I have no idea what to do. Kind of like I know everything you described, but I thought I'm gonna see her, but she's not even in this meeting. So
Right. Well, this is an informational session for students at DVC. If you were invited here by your professor, then that means that you'll either be getting extra credit or it's here for an assignment. But I am a program coordinator at DVC and I support students with anything getting ready for their careers. So resumes, cover letters, interviewing. And right now I'm giving a presentation on interviewing best practices.
all right, thank you.
Of course.
Hi, quick question.
Go for it.
It looks like a few of us in the chat are not able to join a breakout room. Was there an option on the screen to click? Because I don't have it.
Yes.
I can help move you. Yeah, we can also help move. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, can you move
needs to be moved?
group 1,
Mason?
please?
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. You're welcome. Let me move you to group 5, Mason, because there's less students in there.
Okay,
So that
yes,
way you
yeah.
have more talk time.
Thank you.
And Pam, I can put you into a room as well. I don't think it really matters. It doesn't have to match your last name.
I'll fine. Thanks, Miriam.
I think you're just trying to have some similar numbers in the rooms. Want me to do
Yes,
that?
please. Could you please add me to a separate room as well?
Pardon me, Harun?
I asked if you could also put me in a break room if you as yes, I see. Thank you.
Yes, I'm looking for you. One second.
Oh, I found him. I just put him
Okay,
in one
great.
of the groups with less students. So go ahead and accept that, Harun.
Perfect.
Anyone else here needs
yeah, I was in breakout room 5, but I thought I needed to be in room 1, so I'm confused.
It doesn't matter which room.
It doesn't really matter, Caitlin.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Can you put me in one then? I'm sorry.
I'm just going to start putting people into rooms that are less busy.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Sorry.
No worries.
Let's
see here.
Add more time.
think everybody's in a room now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Some are really big and some are really small.
Yeah.
I still need a breakout room to go to.
Caitlin, I
Oh,
don't
Caitlin. Mhm.
see you. I'm looking for you though.
Hmm,
Here we are. I'm going to move you to a different room.
Okay.
There you go.
Thanks, Miriam.
No worries. Let's see what we can do here. Looks like poor Allison is all by herself. I'm going to move her out to someplace else.
Thanks, Mario.
It didn't pop up.
Oh,
It
I
didn't,
don't
huh?
know what's happening.
I know, it's really odd. I'm sorry, I'm looking.
No, it's okay.
Can you hover
I see
your mouse?
Caitlin. I see Caitlin in room 9.
I do
Mariam, let
too.
me switch. Yeah, let me try switching again to see it would show up this time.
Sure.
Maybe switch to 10. There's 3 students in there. Okay.
I don't know why some people are joining and some people are not. I haven't figured that out.
Right. Yeah, we move you, Caitlin. It might be that it's not popping on your device as an option to join for some reason.
Yeah, it's not. Oh, wait. Okay, actually, I think I found it. Sorry.
Okay, great.
I'm going to pop into one of the rooms just to see how everything is going, but I will be back.
Sounds good.
So I think some people might have received, they don't know that they've received an invitation.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're just not really with us right now.
Right. Okay, Ramid.
I was the only one in breakout room 10.
And I'm sorry, who is that? I apologize.
Caitlin, sorry.
Caitlin, you are, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. Try to move people around a little bit here. I'm going to try to send you to 8, Caitlin.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see if that works. So right now we don't have any unassigned people.
Right. Room 1 is their own workshop in there. They're allowed to.
It's a big workshop, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to close, Liz and I are in room 10. So I'm just going to close us put us into 8, just to close out room 10. Because we're the only ones there, or invited there.
Yeah, it looks like Allison might be by herself in 6 also.
Oh, let's see. You're right.
Because the other, yeah, so
I'll put her in 5.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks, Mary.
Okay. Yeah, 1 is a big group.
All right, I'm gonna put a 2-minute warning.
I love, Dominique, how you have those little countdowns.
Oh, thank you.
You and Linda are very talented.
Thank you. It helps me, honestly, with time checks.
I just use my phone.
Oh, I'm using that too.
I love that because people can see it. It's great.
Mhm.
It's really lovely.
Thank you. It's in, I'm using Google Slides. You just insert a video and then search for like a 6-minute timer or 2-minute timer.
Oh, nice. I'm gonna try that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. All right, I'm gonna bring everyone back.
Bruh. Hmm?
I see the number slowly creeping up, so I presume everyone is trickling back in from their breakout rooms. Awesome, everyone's coming back now. All right, so I believe we have everyone back from our breakout rooms. I had the opportunity to pop into one of them and hear people. Sorry, hear a couple of people share their response to Tell Me About Yourself. So awesome work there. And I see some people were saying that they got cut off a little bit, sorry. And I love the shout outs to each other in your groups. So someone just gave a shout out to group number 3. So hopefully you had amazing conversations and great practice. I just want to open the space up for a little bit. If there's anyone who wants to share whole group in front of everyone, what their response to Tell Me About Yourself is. You can just go ahead and come off of mute if you would like to share.
Hi, I'd be happy to share. If you're looking for volunteers.
I am. I appreciate it. What's your name?
My name is Aline, and I go by the She series.
Awesome. Thank you, Aline. Welcome.
Hi.
So super excited to have you here today. I looked over your resume, and I think that you could be a really great fit. Can you just tell me about yourself?
Hi, yes, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me and taking the time. I've worked since the age of 17, mostly in the food and beverage service industry. I did have one retail job for a little less than a year. And with the past experience I've had up to now, I've learned to be quick on my feet, both literally and metaphorically speaking, to find solutions to any sort of situation that might arise in a high pressure situation. I've also refined some customer service skills and being able to communicate appropriately to the management team in order to make sure that customers leave happy. And I think it's important to note that I am also a first generation Latina with immigrant parents. So speaking Spanish at home was essential to communicate, as well as also being in a bilingual school program from the age of 4 all the way to high school graduation. So I'm fluent in reading, writing, and speaking Spanish, which I think is a really great asset. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aline. You're hired. That was an amazing recap of your previous skills, the previous experience, and then you did an amazing job of highlighting the skills and being quick on your feet. You made me chuckle figuratively and literally. It's also a really good sprinkle to have a little laugh from your interviewer. And you, again, had a really nice balance of the professional and the personal, and including your background and your family and how that language can be used as an asset. So bravo, bravo. I'd
Thank
hire
you.
you in a
Thank you so
moment.
much.
Of course, thank you. And thank you so much for being brave and sharing in front of everyone. Do we have one more person who would like to share their introduction to tell me about yourself? We have 70 people on the call. I know we have one more.
I'll step up if nobody else wants to.
Thank you. Thank you. What's your name?
Hello, my name is Kyle. I go by the Key series. I'm currently 23 years old, studying IT at G.R.O.W. I have 1 year of experience in customer service, fast food, and security, as well as some experience doing seasonal work at UPS.
Nice. Okay, thank you, Kyle. I appreciate you sharing. One note I would give is I really appreciated that you shared a bit, essentially your full resume in terms of all of the work experience you have. That's a really good strategy when it comes to tell me about yourself, because you're letting them know, here's the work that I've done. One note that I would give is that's an opportunity to share a bit more about the skills that you've acquired. So you said you've done some seasonal work, you've done security. That would be a great opportunity to sprinkle in, well, because I've had these experiences, I know that I can do this, this, and this. So consider that when you're giving your tell me about yourself response. But overall, I think that was a strong answer. You were confident in your delivery, and I appreciate it. You were also hired, Kyle. We have some talented people here. I'm just giving out jobs that I don't have. Amazing. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
Awesome. So I hope that you all had some engaging conversations in your breakout rooms. And again, thank you to our two volunteers, Elise and Kyle, or excuse me, Alin and Kyle, for sharing their introductions. I am going to fast forward us through the rest of the presentation. Let's see here. So for the interview, just to recap, you want to arrive 10 to 15 minutes early. You want to make sure that you are business professional with your attire. Your body language should be confident. I know it says no fidgeting, and that can sometimes be even hard for myself, but just try to be mindful of it and make sure that you exude confidence. Make sure that your tone and your pace are well suited for the interview, and that you are prepared not only with questions, not only for the questions that they're going to ask you, but make sure that you have questions for them at the end of the interview. They are 10 times out of 10 going to ask you if you have questions, and you always have questions. Even if you don't have questions, make one up. You always have questions. I always like to advise students to go into the interview with at least 3 to 5 questions that they have prepared, just because one that you prepare, they might have already answered during the interview. So you want to make sure that you have enough questions to actually ask. You also want to make sure that you are showing interest, passion, and enthusiasm. And again, that you are not afraid to share your qualifications. Finally, be willing to brag about yourself. As I said, they want to know that you are the best candidate for the job. So tell them that you are the best candidate for the job by explaining why. Know what they want. Like I said, have your own questions and be confident. For remote, I'm sorry, this shift gets me every time. For remote interviews, make sure that your location is quiet enough. You're not going to get distracted. Test your equipment. Make sure that your sound works, your microphone works, your speakers, all of that. You want to stay professional, and your in-person interview rules still apply. So when it comes to being early, not just showing up on time, making sure that you're dressed for the role, all of those things still apply, even if you're interviewing over Zoom. And lastly, confidence and enthusiasm can sometimes be hard through a computer screen in this Zoom land that we're in. But as long as you are true to yourself and remember that you are interviewing them just as much as they are interviewing you, your confidence should be able to shine through your computer. And on a final note, make sure that you send a thank you note. This is going to help you stand out. And at this point, most thank you notes are sent via email. So email out a thank you to everyone who interviewed you. If you don't have their email, you can reach out to HR and have them send it to you so that you can deliver a thank you note. But this is something that you want to do within 24 hours of completing your interview. This is also something I can help you write if you ever wanted to book a one-on-one session with me. And speaking of booking time with Dominique, this is my Calendly link that I told you that I would share with you all. You'll have access to this, so you can either write it down, take a quick picture, or just wait for it to be sent to you. I'll also put it in the chat once I'm done sharing my screen. But this is where you will go to Calendly to book a one-on-one appointment with me if you need support with career exploration, resume, cover letter, interview, all of that. I'm done talking now. I would love to hear your lovely voices and hear whatever questions you have. So that's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that.
Of course. I'm glad it was helpful.
Thank you.
Of course, of course.
We're opening it up for questions now. So please feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand or put in the chat so Ms. Moss can answer your questions. I think Christina, did you have a question, Christina?
Yes, I did.
Please go for it.
The recording for this this conversation, this Zoom meeting, where can I find it?
Christina, we are recording, so we can send the link out to the recording to you after we're done. It'll take a little bit for the recording to come up on Zoom, but we're happy to do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Jonathan.
Hello, my name is Jonathan. I go by the He series. One question I do have is you mentioned, to be prepared to ask questions when you go into an interview. What would you say is one of the best questions to ask?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, I typically lean towards asking questions about the role itself or the company. So I ask questions regarding what are some challenges that I might anticipate going into this role, something that I didn't think about as a person who's applying. So what's one thing that I should anticipate as a challenge? For me, I'm a relationships-based person, so I like to be able to know that I'm going to be on a collaborative team. And so I ask questions about the company culture and getting to know how well people work together. If there's going to be a lot of toxicity in the work environment, don't phrase it that way, but just ask questions about the company culture. And lastly, you can ask if you're interviewing with your direct supervisor or whoever is going to be your supervisor, you can potentially ask them about their management style to make sure that it actually aligns with yours. Those are three of my go-to.
Thank you.
Ari Wolf, your hand was next. Go for it, Ari Wolf.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, I have a question about the psychological side of interviewing. I guess I feel pretty confident in my practical professional skills, but I've had just a number of experiences recently of sexual harassment and microaggressions and toxic work environments and abusive work environments. And it's really just made me feel degraded on kind of a social level at work. I'm at the point where I have to I'm trying to psych myself up for another round of interviews, and I'm just having a really hard time getting there. And I'm just wondering if you have advice for us for just dealing with that side of the job world.
Absolutely. Well, first off, I just want to say sorry that is something that you experienced. I know that is not anything easy to deal with. In our short amount of time, I'm not sure if I can fully tackle all the levels of that, but I would love, if you are open to it, to set up a one-on-one time with you so we can dig a little deeper, so that you do feel comfortable and more ready if that's something you are interested in.
Go for it, Gabriel.
Thank you, Ms. Trin. So the salary negotiations, where can I find a link for that?
The salary negotiation is a part of this presentation, and I will share it with Miriam, who can share it with you all.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Jasmine.
Hi, so I have a question. So I've gotten this question a lot during my interviews where they say, can you explain a time where you've like basically butt heads with like your manager or something? But I personally never have butted heads with like any of my managers. So I don't really ever know how to answer it. So how would I like go about answering that like correctly?
Have you ever had conflict with a colleague or a peer or someone else from your team?
Yes.
Yes. So I would go that direction in explaining that story, because if it almost seems like you're trying to avoid it, if you say, I've never had any conflict, even if it's true, you want to be able to answer the question. So I would then go about sharing the time that you had conflict with a peer, and I would go with the STAR method, tell them the situation, what you had to do, the action that you took in order to resolve it, and then the result. So if you can't answer that specific question, find something that you have experience with and talk about that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Of course.
Lonnie.
Yeah, my question was, when doing an interview for, say, a new work field that you don't really have experience in, how could you like do well in the interview and I guess like convince them that you could gain experience with them?
Of course. I'm glad that you use the word convince, because sometimes it is that. Your job is to convince them that you are the best candidate for the job. And by that, you have to do a lot of work before you even get to the interview. You have to sit down and look at what experiences you do have and say, okay, I may not have been a nurse before, but I know that I've taken nursing classes at DVC, and I know that I have worked in customer service before. And so I know I have great people skills. I have great communication skills. So you have to observe what you do have and let them know that all of that translates to the role that you are applying for.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Aaron is next. Aaron.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I was curious. I watched, like a video, and I read some stuff about interviews and whatnot, and I want to know if this is a good question or not. They say you're supposed to ask like the interviewer what they're looking for in an ideal candidate. Now, do they know? Do they get what's up with that, or should you ask it? Or
That's a great question. And that's a loaded question. If you were asking Dominique if she would ask that question, that is not a question that I would ask, because I would personally want them to know that I think that I am that. And I'm going to tell you the reasons why I am the ideal candidate, versus tell me who you're looking for so I can try to be that. So I would just say that ties in a little bit with the confidence aspect when it comes to interviewing, is you're going in with the mindset that you are what they are looking for, right? And then second of all, just to tweak the question a little bit to something that I would maybe ask, let's see, I would potentially ask something along the lines of, what does a successful candidate look like previously? Or what are some skills that the last person who was in this role before me had that I should ensure that I have? Something along those lines, but I wouldn't ask it from the lens of, what are you looking for? Just because you are what they're looking for.
Got you. Okay, thank you.
All right, it is 6 o'clock right now. We have 2 hands up and a question in the chat. Dominic, should we redirect the students to schedule an appointment with you, or do we want to take the last 2 questions?
I don't have anything waiting for me except for my tea, so I can continue taking questions. And then for everyone else who we did not get an opportunity to get to, I highly, highly recommend that you book that one-on-one time with me.
Sounds great. So why don't we take a question in the chat, and then Jorge would you take the last question, Jorge. So the question in the chat is, for those of us who has not had many interviews, how would I build up confidence for interviews?
Yes, practice. You build confidence for interviews with practice. The reason I'm even in like workforce development is because I ended up being all the mock interviews for all of my friends while they were job hunting. I really enjoy asking people questions and giving them feedback on how they can improve the questions. So you can, I'm not going to advertise or put your friends out there, but I do this for my living. So book time with me and we can do a mock interview so that you can get comfortable answering questions, the types of questions that you want to ask. It all just comes with time and practice.
And last question for tonight will be coming from Jorge. Go for it, Jorge.
So I mean, movies, I have seen it before on social media about asking the interviewer, what made you give me an interview? Is that a good question to ask?
Again,
what made them, bring me to the interview?
Again, that's not something I would specifically ask because I'm operating under the assumption that they're interviewing me because they're interested in my qualifications. And again, your mindset when you're going into the interview is that this is my job, right? I just have to have a conversation before I get the job. But so I guess what's underneath that, the purpose of asking that question is because you want to know what made you stand out as a candidate amongst the others. I would maybe save that for after you're hired, to be honest. I wouldn't ask that in an interview.
Okay.
Great, thank you very much. So once again, we want to thank you, Ms. Moss, for presenting this afternoon. We hope this activity has given you a clear understanding of the interview preparation process. I would now like to draw your attention to the slide, which is coming up on the screen. These are our upcoming workshops for both the Business Beyond the Classroom and the G.R.O.W workshop series. We hope to see you at a future workshop, everyone. Thank you and have a great evening. Thank you very much, Dominique.
First, have a good one. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was great.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one. Thank you.